haven't really spoken much about the Dallas Mavericks for a few weeks, but the season is drawing near, and Klay Thompson will not be a part of the Mavs' future. After Friday's news came down, and that was after our Friday show, we haven't had a chance to kind of get into that much at all over the last few days, obviously, but probably worth some discussion now because this was a guy when he signed with the Mavs.
Gosh.
I know, right?
Feels like a lifetime ago.
The knife is still here, though.
Yeah, walking across the street. Making his way downtown.
Najee
Not
Marshall.
walking fast.
Klay and the Mavs agreeing to a buyout on Friday, which means the NBA veteran who's chasing a fifth ring can go chase it somewhere else, and probably good for all parties here because it's going to save the Mavs a little bit of cash and free up a roster spot that they can then use for a younger player. For Klay, he's going to get a chance to go chase a fifth championship and, fill out one whole hand. And that was why he joined the Mavs in the first place a couple years ago. Right? Like, he came here to win championships with Luka and Kyrie. He thought he would fit in better with that Mavs team than the Lakers. He picked the Mavs.
And early on, he did.
Yeah.
Some of the wide open shots that he had were ridiculous.
Yeah,
like,
but
we're talking dribble, take your time, spot up, bang.
But a Luka calf strain and out on Christmas, and then we know how the rest of that story goes. Mm-hmm. And Klay, to his credit, still showed up last year and played a season of basketball. But I think we all know that this Mavs team is still in a renovation phase.
Yep.
They've got a lot of young players that we don't know what they're going to be yet. And he doesn't have the time to wait and see what they become.
He also just didn't fit whatever they're building. Like, well, one, I guess it's not fair to say, like, it's not exactly clear what style of basketball the Mavs are going to roll out here in Dusty May's first year as head coach in the NBA, plus, like, all of the question marks at all the different positions that they have either drafted or brought in over the course of the last couple months. But I do think, first and foremost, it is paramount that we give Klay credit for how gracefully he handled the turmoil that completely covered his entire tenure here in Dallas. Like you mentioned, he was brought here thinking he was going to be playing with not just Luka and Kyrie. Not only did he have to go through the Luka trade firsthand, but then for Kyrie to get injured, for them to bring in Anthony Davis, then he's like, okay, well, at least I'm going to be playing with Anthony Davis. Also had to go through that transition. Like, he was here during some of the most turbulent times in recent memory within this organization, and he always handled it like a pro. To your credit, or I mean, to your point, he always showed up. And as a vet who already has a couple NBA titles to his name, who came here at a point in his career where it was a little more clear, like, what he was not only after, but what he was contributing, like, I can't imagine it was very easy to show up and continue to be a consistent teammate. But he did that. And so, yeah, I think it was beneficial for both parties that he gets the chance to start over with the Heat on a team that I guess at least they have a little bit more in the way of established pieces where they're trying to compete now. Whether or not they can in the Eastern Conference
I was going to say, like, there's a lot of roster construction where the Heat is concerned that makes it a little questionable.
Yes.
But you know what? They need shooting. They got shooting.
Yes.
But the other thing about Klay was he did not shy away from talking about any of the swirling nature of what the Mavs were dealing with.
Yes.
He didn't necessarily outright call it like it was, but like he continually gave the Mavs fans flowers in a way that I think everyone looks back on and thinks, at least someone is voicing what they're saying in this moment. Because again, if he's not going to be totally 100% open and honest until he's on Draymond's podcast in 3 years from now, that's a different circumstance.
Hey, it didn't take 83 years.
Right, exactly. So, like, to some degree, I think that's the difference. It's like he continually showed class. He continually showed that there was always stuff going on behind the scenes, but he never let it affect how he treated the people that were there night in, night out to support him, even amidst all of that stuff.
And he made history while he was here.
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty cool on an NBA, or I think it was home floor. I think it was a home game when he hit, when he moved into, was it third, I think, in three-pointers made. I'll double check that. But, milestone moment in his career was done in a Mavericks uniform.
And
that was cool.
you could also tell, like, he wanted it to happen here, which I think made part of what happened frustrating. It's like he liked the community, he liked the team that they were building, or at least what it looked like they were building. Everything looked like it was pointed in a direction where, like, I made the right decision when I came here. And then other things happened. So.
Yeah, he came here right after the Mavs run to the NBA Finals. Like, this was a team that was supposed to keep contending. And, I feel bad for him because, these are precious years at this stage of his career, right? Like, he knows he's in the twilight. He's only probably got maybe a year or two left. I don't know how much he thinks he has left, but probably around there. And that these are precious chances to go get that 5th championship. And you have to be very deliberate about where you decide to go because, there's only really a handful of true contenders, and he thought the Mavs were one.
Yeah.
And so it's a bummer for how it all played out. I kind of wish him well. I hope he, goes, makes a run where, with Miami and whatever that squad ends up looking like. But
I have to check that. He moved into 4th place.
Yeah.
All time.
Shocking that James Harden is second on that list, by the way.
Oh.
That was interesting to me.
To your point, though, I think probably a lot of Mavs fans feel a similar sentiment of like, we wish him well because during his time here, it was
not your
easy
fault, buddy.
for him. Yeah. And he's still
showed up
Yes.
and still was, good
As
teammate,
good as he could be.
good representative. Yeah. I just felt bad for the situation he was put in. But now it is going to spark more questions about what this Mavs team is going to look like by season's end. And Kyrie Irving, we've spoken ad nauseum at this point over the last few months. Since this new regime has taken over with Masai Ujiri and Mike Schmitz as GM and new head coach Dusty May, their roster has kind of gone through it's not an overhaul because some other changes are going to have to happen because they've got so many players, but they've brought in a lot of new pieces, and it makes you wonder if this rebuild, renovation, whatever you want to call it, has room for Kyrie by season's end, or if it makes more sense to trade him by the deadline. And continue that building process around Cooper Flag because Kyrie is only a year or two away from being where Klay is right now. Mm-hmm. And he would probably be the first one to tell you, I don't really want to play unless I'm competing for championships. Guys, once they hit kind of that 30, 32-year mark, are looking to win rings and kind of bolster that Hall of Fame resume that he's already got. So I don't know if the Mavs have, reportedly said they're not trading him or not interested in trading him. I believe that. I also believe he hasn't played a basketball game since the tail end of the 2025 season. They need to go show what he can do, kind of show him to, basically kind of dangle him to other teams like, hey, Kyrie's still Kai. Sweeten that offer that you sent us back in July or June. That those calls you were making, thinking that we'd just trade him for nothing, the price just went up because you can get a better return.
I also think as much as we would like Kyrie to stay, because we love him as a personality, he weathered the storm in just the same way that Klay did.
Yeah.
He embraced Mavs fans in exactly that same way, the way that they embraced him when he first showed up on the team. Mm-hmm. It was a little bit of a question mark when he first got here, but he quickly established, it's like, not only am I Kyrie, I love you guys, and we're going to show each other that same kind of affection. My only concern is we've seen a lot in recent memory of young teams taking chances on older veterans or like one superstar veteran, because that would what Kyrie would be, and trying to play matchmaker with two different generations. And it's not saying it can't be successful. I feel like that's not ultimately what I'm trying to say. Like, you can win basketball games in that format. It's just, can you win a championship? And the people that have won championships in recent memory have been one major superstar that is the glue for everything, and either a young budding team with people around it, or a hyper veteran team where everyone's 28 and older and they have experience all across the league and your bench is super deep. Because I'm thinking of the Lakers trying to do a similar thing. If you're going to try and pair Flag and Kyrie, they tried to do it with Luka and LeBron.
Yeah.
And as much as those two are similar players, it didn't quite work out the way I think a lot of people thought initially when that whole pairing started. And it's not saying that Flag and Kyrie can't reach what the Lakers did in that stretch. It's just, do you want that if you still need to try and build either gain assets or find ways to build for an eventual championship while you're weathering the current storm that is the Thunder and the Spurs and these young budding dynasties that are going on in the West.
I guess I feel like there was so much there. There were so many different thoughts that raced through my mind because I'm thinking, Luka and LeBron, but they were very clearly deficient everywhere else,
right?
Or in a lot of other areas. But to your point about weathering the storm during basically the heydays of the Thunder and the Spurs, I think that's where maybe you do get the benefit or the value out of Kyrie here the entire year while he tries to, I'm going to say the word groom for lack of a better term, but like raise or just invest in a Cooper and some of these other guys. Maybe you extract that value for the full season and then you trade him in the offseason because one full year under Kyrie or with Kyrie while he's actually out there on the court could be invaluable for Cooper's long-term development. And are they realistically going to compete this year? 99% of me says absolutely not.
I mean,
because
I'll just rattle off the top 8 teams real quick just so we get a standby here. Thunder, Spurs, Nuggets, Lakers, Rockets, T-Wolves, Suns, Blazers.
Dude, that talk about PTSD. Like, children, they're not matching up with even the top 4 of those teams. I mean, or the bottom 4.
I was going to say, then you throw the Clippers on there, and you throw the Warriors. The Warriors, by the way, who keep loading up. So,
shout out Brandon Williams.
And that's kind of part of it, right? Is if you're the Mavs, you kind of just read the tea leaves here and be like, we need everything to go right for us to contend. That's where I just keep coming back to. For long-term success, for long-term success, you're going to need assets, young pieces or draft picks, and Kyrie is really their one easy button that they can press to go get what we need to build around him. And it's unfortunate that it would come at the expense of Kyrie Irving, who has been great since he's been here. But when it comes to building a team, you can't just build off of what took place, but what can be. And unfortunately, that is the reality of the situation for the Mavs and what they're going to be approaching as the season starts. But it'll be fun to watch them together. And listen, they could start, but they start the season 15-0.
I was going to say,
does it recalibrate?
That's my question. Is let's say the experiment does work, right? Like the perfect blend works for this year. I'm not suggesting they go on a finals run, but let's say they rip off 54 wins. Does that change the calculus for how they build a team? Does Kyrie stick around? Because it's like, it might be diminishing returns for the rest of his career, but even in the next 2, we've just proven that we are a legitimate competitor in the West, and all we need is like 1 or 2 more tweaks, and we can be right up there with everybody else. Because that's the thing. It might be top-heavy, but everyone else is kind of in the same wash right now.
I think it's going to be a wait and see. I mean, can Cooper take another step like quickly too?
And you're talking about a 36-year-old at that point. Like if you're talking about he's 34 right now, his birthday's March 23rd, so he plays this season and turns
my
30.
Age. I need to remember
35
that.
season. All the same birthday? No, you're June.
I know, but 3 months apart is not a lot.
Yeah.
Well,
but I guess what I'm saying is if this season goes well to that hypothetical,
right?
And then you're talking about the following year, 35 turning 36 age season. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's wait and see.
I 100% agree. One kind of note here is on the Mavs coaching staff, or at least previous to now, Phil Handy was a member of that staff. The Mavs brought him in. Phil Handy and Kyrie have worked together for years. He kind of took over, I think, for God Shamgod when he left for the Magic, I want to say.
Magic, yeah.
And so he's been kind of a key piece with Kai. But if Phil's now gone and reportedly going to reunite with LeBron in Philly,
Philly,
where LeBron and Phil have won multiple championships together, I think Cleveland and LA, it begs the question of, okay, is Kyrie going to follow Phil to Philly? Could this be just another step in we're going to let Kyrie go at some point if Phil Handy is changing places? I mean, again, sometimes it's these little dominoes that fall first before the big ones. I think about Luka and PTSD there. Yeah. And they basically got rid of his entire inner circle before they got rid of him. Yeah. So sometimes that's how it starts, but we'll see. I mean, we still got some time to go until the Mavs season, but we're monitoring it and probably as curious as you are of how it's all going to shake out by season's end.